Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Camp branch of Great Millstone. Let me check my volume here. All right, back for another video. But first and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Mikah HaKodash, and of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Also like to send out salutations to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways. Also mention the numerous amounts of videos that are dropped to further push this truth across four corners of the earth. All right, because we're in that time. This is the copyright disclaimer because I'm going to be using a video as a teaching tool. This is under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. The nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right, so there we go. What we have in this video is an overwhelming instance of hypocrisy, as you're going to see. Now, for those of you I'm here in Washington, D.C., of course, everyone should know that this town is just one step from being under martial law. The president took over the D.C. Police Department here, and it's really sad. It really is, because, and I say that because it's the same old fucking game. And let me pause it for a minute as I pull something else out, pull something up that I forgot to before we got started. Just Salaki here, one moment. Okay, I'm back. Salakia once again. Glaring cases of hypocrisy in this case. But here we go. The guy that threw the sandwich at the federal officer. It's not that funny anymore because, let me just read it. His career is toast, as it starts out saying, because we find out where this guy worked. All right. A D.C. dimwit who slung a Subway sandwich at a federal agent on the streets of the Capitol earlier this week has been identified as a now former Justice Department worker. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced Thursday that Sean Charles Dunn, 37, who is facing a felony assault charge for the sandwich strike, has been fired from his DOJ role. I hope this sense of irony is not lost here. All right. Sean Charles Dunn was accused of assaulting federal agents with a Subway sandwich. If you touch any law enforcement officer, we will come after you, Bondi declared. I just learned that this defendant worked at the Department of Justice. No longer. Not only is he fired, he has been charged with a felony. I know they wish so bad that it was a Jake. I just know that. So anyway, get that out of the way so when you see this video here, you'll understand what it's talking about. So here we go.
Oh, the hypocrisy. Oh, my goodness. So every once in a while, we get a glimmer of truth that fights its way through, that claws its way out of like the deep recesses of Fox News. And in this clip, we have exactly that, where we have a Fox News contributor, Marie Harf is her name, and they're talking about all the crime that's going on in D.C. And one such criminal activity that was recorded was Sandwich Guy, okay? So Subway Guy. And for those of you who may not be aware of what happened, you had a dude who had a Subway sandwich and threw it. It's not funny, but it kind of is. Because he ruined a perfectly good sandwich. You could have given that to the homeless or something. But he threw the sandwich at an officer, right? A CBM, Customs Border, protection officer. And he threw it at him and then started running. And I don't know if that's as fast as this man can run, because I feel like he wanted to get caught based off of his running. Because I'm like, bro, you can definitely run faster than that, right? But anyways, he threw the sandwich, salami. I'm guessing it's salami sandwich. I don't know what was in it. But, bread and everything goes. He runs and they catch him. And apparently they make a big deal out of, we're going to get the crime that's going on here, and that's not going to happen anymore. Okay, brother?
So President Trump has vowed to make D.C. safe and beautiful again. If you spit, we hit. Well, we didn't quite do that the other night when an individual went up to one of the federal law enforcement officers and started jumping up and down, screaming at him, berating him, yelling at him. And then he took a Subway sandwich about this big and took it and threw it at the officer. He thought it was funny. Well, he doesn't think it's funny today because we charge him with a felony, assault on a police officer. And we're going to back the police to the hilt. So there. Stick your Subway sandwich somewhere else.
Yeah, so
Brother,
And so they're discussing this on Fox News. And you have this woman who calls out the glaring hypocrisy. Okay, this is something how I don't understand how people watch Fox News. Like, if you have any shred of integrity, it would absolutely irk you to the utmost degree, hearing them screaming and crying about an officer that was assaulted by a Subway sandwich. If you don't miss me with this nonsense, y'all were praising, what's his name? The dude that yeeted the black guy on the subway, all right, for not any type of physical violence, for words. They have constantly been praising black people, getting yeeted. Because, black people bad. That's a mindset. As I've said before, Neanderthal mindset. Black people bad, white people good. They're constantly doing this, all right? But what she brings up is January 6th, where officers were assaulted. You had an officer who died. We had people who perished on that day. Yeah, Ashley Babbitt, even though she was dumb. But you have these individuals that they are trying to say that, oh my God, look at him assaulting officers, with a sandwich. This is what the left wants. And she calls out the hypocrisy, where it's like, you can't tell me that you care about police when you all completely pardon the people who assaulted the officers.
It is very rich to say we are going to charge the sandwich thrower with a felony. When I was there on January 6th, and all of those people that assaulted police officers got pardoned.
Congregation, I said, can I get an amen?
Not just the nonviolent ones, not just the ones that went into the Capitol. Everyone, including the ones that went after police officers, got pardoned.
Someone cooked here.
So don't tell me we care, that this administration cares about protecting police officers when they did not care about those on January 6th.
And to add on top of this, they wanted to celebrate Kyle Rittenhouse, right? And make jokes about, he killed, a child offender, right? But at the same time, Trump pardoned child offenders. He pardoned rapists. He pardoned domestic violent individuals. He pardoned these monsters. Just a blanket pardon for all of these criminals. So when you want to talk about, we care about back the blue and all this, she's saying you can't do that, Brett. You're being obvious hypocrites. Now, they didn't like that because they're like, well, can we talk about D.C. here? We're talking about D.C. here, okay? We're not talking about January 6th.
Respectfully, can we just stay? But they got pardoned. No, those were police officers.
I just want to say, I want to talk about D.C. for a second.
But that was in D.C. That was in D.C. Those were D.C. police officers.
Can I just start with the fact checking?
they didn't like that shit.
And that's what they want to do, bruh. They want to just completely put all their evil crimes, all their lineage of evil. Well, let's not talk about it. Let's sweep that under the rug. Better yet, let's pretend like it didn't even happen. It was a tourist attraction. So it's this doublespeak that would be irksome, as I said, to anyone who has a shred of integrity. For them to try and cry like it's the end of the world because an officer got hit by a sandwich, which they're now charging him with felony assault. With felony assault. Lord in heaven. And they're trying to say, oh, look at this. Look at the crime that's going on. When we saw how they cared about law enforcement, we see how they care now about law enforcement. Do you understand the number one killer of law enforcement? It's not crime, bruh. It's not crime, is what they want to make you believe. Oh, look what's going on in Chicago. Look what's going on in the urban areas. That's not what's going on. Number one killer of officers is officers, and that's via suicide. That's the number one killer. And you have yet to hear anyone of the Republican Party bring any type of mental health for officers, do any mandatory, checks on officers. None of that. What they want to do is, as I said before, Neanderthal mindset. white people good, black people bad. That's it. That's all they want. And it doesn't matter if their hypocrisy is glaring. And I'm so glad she brought this out. She may get fired. They may never bring her on. But it gets irritating them talking about how much they care about officers and everything. We got videos of officers like screaming and crying because they're being crushed, right? We got videos of them, these J6er, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs fighting officers, attacking officers with flagpoles and stuff like that. Like, it's insane for them to completely overlook this, but then put an absurd amount of effort.
I just wonder, those people that put all that effort into January 6th as far as raiding the Capitol, and we understand now that that was all bullshit, that was set up. But the person that they did all that for effectively sold them out. I wonder how they feel now. You got people burning their MAGA hats, despite them getting pardoned. But she brings up a good point. You put all this. Oh, and I want to show you something else because, again, we're talking about contradictions here. They talk about DC is so bad, and yes, it has its problems. Yes, Jake, these YNs out here are, yeah, I get it. Trust me, I've been here quite a while. But let's look at it. Let's just look at the facts. All right. Here are America's most dangerous cities in 2025. All right. It says Washington, D.C. has drawn intense federal scrutiny in recent days, with political leaders citing concerns over public safety. All right. Like someone said, it doesn't matter with all these stats if you've been a recent victim of a carjacking. So I imagine, I understand the emotions and everything in it. That's why I said let's just look at the numbers for what they are. And let's see who's on that list. Washington, D.C. is the question, Washington, D.C., America's most dangerous and violent city. Washington, D.C. has drawn intense federal scrutiny in recent days, with political leaders citing concerns over public safety. Yet the data tells a different story. The capital doesn't appear in the top 25 most dangerous cities, not even close. In fact, Washington has experienced one of the sharpest declines in violent crime nationwide, marking a significant shift in its public safety trajectory. Violent crime overall is down 26% this year compared to the same point in 2024, and robbery is down 28%. Now, recently there's come up this, I don't know how true it is, a rumor, because I don't know otherwise, I just have to classify it as such, that the numbers have been skewed. All right, so I'm just going by what I have right here before me. I looked it up. I couldn't find what I just mentioned, that someone was called to task for it in the police department, having to do with stats and stuff. I wouldn't put it past, but as it stands now, I do not have that in front of me, so I can't attest to that. But anyway, I'm just looking at the list here. Let's just skip on down to the top 15 most dangerous cities in America. Number 1, Memphis, Tennessee. They've been wilding out for a long time. All right. Oakland. Number 3, St. Louis, Missouri. 4, Baltimore, Maryland, just up the highway here. 5, Detroit, Michigan. 6, Alexandria, Louisiana. Damn. I believe that's where or used to be years ago, the Reform School. Anyway, 7, Cleveland, Ohio. 8, New Orleans, Louisiana. 9, Monroe, Louisiana. 10, Pueblo, Colorado. 11, Anniston, Alabama. 12, Little Rock, Arkansas. 13, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 14, Tacoma, Washington. 15, Birmingham, Alabama. And for those of you that might say, well, they might be in 16. Well, let's mosey on over here. Here are, let's see, that was the one I was saying there. Here it is, most dangerous places ranked. All right, in 2025, 2026. Again, number 1, Memphis, Tennessee. Oakland, California. St. Louis, Missouri. Baltimore, Maryland. Detroit, Michigan. Alexandria, Louisiana. Number 7, Cleveland, Ohio. Number 8, New Orleans, Louisiana. Number 9, Monroe, Louisiana. Not much change. 10, Pueblo, Colorado. 11, Anniston, Alabama. 12, Little Rock, Arkansas. 13, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 14, Tacoma, Washington. 15, Birmingham, Alabama. 16, Atlantic City, New Jersey. 17, Camden, New Jersey. 18, Springfield, Missouri. Albuquerque, New Mexico comes in at 19. 20 is Kansas City, Missouri. 21 is Louisville, Kentucky. 22 is Canton, Ohio. Is that the Hall of Fame at? Let's see. Dayton, Ohio is number 23. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is 24. And to round out the 25 is Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let me get that bottom picture out of there. Minneapolis, Minnesota. I see DC, like I said, is nowhere even close. So what's really going on here? You have an incident that some speculate, myself included, where this young staffer that used to be at Doge was attacked. They say trying to stop a carjacking. There's no video of this that I've seen with all the cameras around here or anything that was staged just for this purpose. Couple that with all the gentrification here, it goes to possibly this is make DC white again. You know, the optics here is like this is the capital of America, and it should represent that. It should reflect that. You know, going back to the, this is a white Christian nation, that sort of thing. Yeah. Could that be it?
Effort for a guy throwing a Subway sandwich at an officer. I don't know, man. You have to be in a...
Salaki, now that I say that, let me get these scriptures here, because now we're getting into, all right, the quote-unquote powers that be at work here. This is Isaiah. Let's go to the 32nd chapter. Let's start at around 5. All right, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. Let's go into that vile person. We're talking about the wicked. Stupid. All right, the foolish. And there's none more foolish than the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. That's Job 30th chapter. All right, the vile person. And let's get, do I have my, yes. Let's go to vile. What does that mean? All right. Wretchedly bad. Highly offensive. Yes, they are. Unpleasant or objectionable. Morally debased. Depraved or despicable. These are the people that run the world. All right. Menial, lowly, of little value or account, paltry. All right. Let's see. Evil purposes and evil influence, evil deeds, causing or able to cause. Okay, never mind. Detrimental. Even the last one has bearing detrimental to physical or moral well-being. Unwholesome food. All right. So a slimy little liar. All right. In the Latin it says of little worth, base, cheap. All right. So let's go back. All right. Nabal. All right. A fool. All right. For us to remember, 1 Samuel. It says, for the vile person will speak villainy. All right, let's see. What is that, villainy? What is that? Strong's H5039. Nabalah, foolishness, that is, morally wickedness, concretely a crime, by extension punishment, folly, vile, villainy. Feminine of H, let's see. Yeah, okay. Impious. But they still want to project that image of them being, you know, upright. They've done this for half a millennium now. Half a millennia. Salaki. All right. Yeah, and it's wearing off. It's wearing thin. People see all through it. No one wants to be around these people, especially here in America. Their fellow Edomites don't even like American Edomites. All right.
No, man, you have to be in a cult, bro. you have to be in a cult for you not to see this hypocrisy, for you to ignore this hypocrisy, for you to try and do mental gymnastics to try and say, well, it's not the same thing, or it happened so long ago, or that's all you got. And I've seen all of those comments, bro. I've seen all of those comments where it's like, oh, this is all they talk about, January 6th. I'm like, you know, we have to do this. But if we were to flip this, and I brought this analogy out before, where if it was a bunch of black people who stormed the Capitol, defecated on the ground, you know, urinated on the walls, assaulted officers, we would never hear the end of this. They would say that this was worse than the Civil War. They would try and rescind as far as the birthright citizenship for black people. They would do everything in their power. But when it comes to them, right, when it comes to the white ignorance, oh, they were just angels. You have to understand, they were wrongfully persecuted. That's what was going on. It's just, I'm glad that she called them out. Okay, I'm glad they called them out, because it's just, we can't live like this, bro. We can't live within the same country where people live on two different planets, where they have completely gross gaps in like logic and perspectives and an understanding of history. I don't know what to tell you. That's the Tower of Babel. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe, look, you sound like a lefty, okay? You sound, those people were persecuted, all right? They were rotting in the prisons for nothing, for fighting for Trump. That's what happened. Or if you haven't believed, listen, y'all are lost, bro. Y'all are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Y'all are smooth brains. You have dedicated your life to Trump. I don't know what to tell you. But if you want to scream and holler over an officer being hit by a sandwich, but be completely silent when officers are dying, when officers were assaulted on January 6th, what are we talking about here, bro? What are we talking about? It's just nothing. Just say you dislike black people and just leave it at that, all right? Just leave it at that. I don't know what to tell you. Even though this guy was a white guy who threw the sandwich at the officer. You notice no one brought up race, right? You notice no one brought up white on white crime, even though the officer was white, the perpetrator was white. So we're on to your nonsense, okay? Anyways, if you happen to disagree, you know where to find me, Thursday through Saturday, Disagreement Day. Number on screen, call in, and we...
So there you go. Let's go ahead and finish out Isaiah 32 and 6. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy. All right? It's right in your face. All right? And like he said, unless you're doing these mental gymnastics, you know, and are absent of any sort of integrity, which for the most part they are, let's just face it. It says, and to utter error against the Most High Yahweh, to make empty the soul of the hungry, all right, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail, which in both cases are the Israelites. All right. Wow. All right. Wow. Let's do 7. The instruments also of the churl are evil, and that they are. Let's see these instruments here. Strong's H3627, something prepared, that is, any apparatus as an implement, utensil, dress, vessel, or weapon. All right? Weapon. All right? Everything's used against Jake, classified as a weapon. All right? The very law itself artillery, bag, carriage, furniture, instrument, jewel. All right, I think you get it. All right, let's see. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words. Even when the needy speaketh right, they choose to look the other way. Like I said, this is an agenda. All right. Churl, when you look over here to the right, the fraudulent. All right. Oh, so when the poor speaketh right, as it says, he pleadeth a just cause, they don't care. All right, spiritually, the poor man's cause is the divine doctrine, his rule of faith and practice. And you're dealing with people that are the opposite. All right, and to understand that, let's go to Sirach, 33rd chapter. Let's start around at 11. All right, let's see. I'll start at 11. In much knowledge the Most High hath divided them and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places. As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. And this is talking about the Most High. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. These people are set up to be the wicked, all right? And it says in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right. But of course, with these Edomites, what he has done, all right, because of his hubris, his pride, etc., he said this. This is Isaiah 10:13. For he saith, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent. I've gone to Oxford and, all these other universities and all this, Cambridge and, and I have removed the bounds of the people and have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. 14, and my hand hath found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gathered eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth, and there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peeped. All right, which what? Sounds really familiar, right? So let's just go 4 chapters up. All right, it says Israel's remnant taunts Babylon. All right, sounds like what? The 5 eyes, right? And this is why everything is falling apart for this devil. All right, Revelation 12:12. This is why he's acting the way he is. But Isaiah 14 and 11, it says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. All this decay. Look at America's infrastructure. Done. Like you scared to drive over a bridge. It says 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? This is talking about a man now. It says, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, number 1, I will ascend unto heaven. 2, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. 3, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north. 4, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. 5, I will be like the Most High. 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter. All right, this is who you're dealing with. But the Most High says, yet, verse 15, thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the grave, to the sides of the pit. So, Job 14:5, he's got a time limit on him. All right, let's go to Job 14:5. Just like any other kingdom before, he's going down. All right, it says, seeing his days are determined, predestinated, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Because, as it says also, when we go a few chapters back, all right, it says, Job 5:12, he disappointeth the devices, all right, of the crafty. Those devices, Strong's H4284, all right, a machine, an intention, a plan. So his plans are going to be brought to naught, all right? Cunning, curious work, all right? His imaginations, all right? All right, and this links up with, 2 Corinthians 2:11, the devices, all right? His thoughts. All that's, it's over, all right? That's why he's going to try to do as much damage. He's really trying to destroy the nation, all right? Not the state, but the real Israelites, all right? Because we're the only threat, all right, on a spiritual level. All right, so this is what this is all about. So once again, this has been the Amazing Lucas site, and it says hypocrisy explodes on Fox News over sandwich assault versus cop. All right, the hypocrisy, my goodness. And it's all exposed for everyone to see. This is a beautiful moment that we're living in because he's being exposed for what and who he is. There's no turning back, all right? He's done. All right, so once again, I'd like to remind everyone, especially in these days now, to remain circumspect, all right? Be very aware of your surroundings, all right? Hey, that's the times we're in. So until the next video, shalom.